I'm going to hit record now, but that's okay. All right, so that's what we're going to look at doing as we kind of go through today. So in terms of AR, I'll flick back across to here. There are a lot of platforms that you can use to do AR. I know when I was kind of doing this for the tech school, I even went through a bunch of them trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to use. And they do all vary depending on what you want. Okay, now a good chunk of them are free, which is good. They're free to kind of test out and to have a play with and see what you can do. ZapWorks, out of all the ones I have kind of played with, I found that ZapWorks, which is the one we have here, is probably the easiest, the most user-friendly, and really, really good for students because it actually has quite a few different platforms, or I guess different stages that you can go through. You can start off with something quite simple using widgets. You can jump up to a designer mode, which is all online. And then finally, you can end on using a piece of software which has animation and modeling and everything built in. So that is the last step of that. So ZapWorks is what we use at the tech school. Again, you can have a free trial. So as a teacher, you can try this out. Your students can log in and they can try it out as well for free. I believe the free trial has a limit of making 3 experiences at a time. So that's its kind of limitation there as well. Pricing, though, is, if you did want to use this quite a lot, pricing is actually pretty good. I think, we only pay $300 for an educational seat, and then we can have student seats for about $1 or $2 a year. So it's actually not bad. So this is what we're going to use today. And the steps that you do, I guess, and how you're going to do this are very similar for all the different AR platforms out there. They might just word it differently, or they might just have a bit of a different interface. So I'll go through how it works really quickly now. And then I guess after this, have a play on your own. Load up ZapWorks, log in for a free trial, and have a play at creating some AR content. So let's get started. I'm going to log in, and this should log me straight into my account automatically. There we go. I'll log in there. Oh, look at that. You can't see my password, which is good. And we'll get started. Okay. So when I log in, obviously there's a lot more here than you would see. Because obviously I've got lots and lots of students through here. I'm just going to quickly jump into a new project. We have lots of students on ours there. So when you start a new AR project through ZapWorks, they're giving you these 3 options. And this is, like I said, you can kind of choose what's going to work best for you, what tool is going to work best for you. So let me kind of explain them as I go. We have this one here, which is widgets. Now that's like I said here, that's a tool for beginners. It's super simple. You kind of drag and drop a couple of elements, an image, a website, a contact page, those kind of things. Really, really simple, and that's about it. So a quick way for, I would say grade 5, 6s could definitely use widgets and create some AR content, 7s and 8s for sure. But what we're going to use is Designer. Before I do that, let's have a look at this one here. So this is Studio. So this is an actual piece of software that you download. And with that, like you can kind of see in the picture there, it has full 3D modeling. You can make some animations. You can build characters. You can animate and keyframe them. It has image tracking. It has face tracking. So you can it'll track people's faces around as well. So it has quite a lot, but it's quite a steep learning curve to do that. So I'm going to hit Designer and go to next step. All right. So then as we go through here, what we're going to do is we're going to choose what's called a Zap code. They use the word trigger here on what this thing is. Some people will call it a marker. Some people even just call it a barcode. What it is, it's basically the element that is going to trigger, I guess, the AR experience. What are you going to see that then makes that AR experience load, okay? Because AR does need to have some kind of, some kind of way to ground itself in reality, so it knows where it's being placed, okay? So that, in this case, is called a trigger, and that can be an image that you're going to use that when you scan this with your AR device, so again, your smartphone or whatever it's going to be, it will scan that, it will unlock the right content for that trigger and start to display it. All right, so we're going to use a Zap code, and we're going to create a project. Of course, you can make, custom ones, which are just for your school. I'm sure we've all got $8,000 to spare to do that. But let's just hit create project. Okay, so once you create a project, now everything in Designer here is all cloud-based. Okay, so once you log in and start your project, you just have to basically log in, and there it is. There, you can work on it wherever you like, as long as you can log in somewhere. So it's all cloud-based at the moment, which is great. So what we're going to do is, the first thing you can see here is it generated a trigger for this project. So I'm going to call this project YouTube example. All right. So I've got my project ready to go, and I'm going to start to do it. So I'm going to open my Designer. Okay, so the first thing it's saying here is we need to give you that code. Okay, so that tracking image. What are you going to do to be able to track this content? Okay, so I'm going to download a Zap code. It's called. All right, and then what it's doing here is it's generating a code just for this AR experience. Now, it does look very similar to all of the other ones that you make. Like it will, there's minute differences here, but trust me, every single one is unique to what you're doing. Okay, so when we have that, this is going to be, think of it like the special barcode that we're going to put on our image. So we have a way for it to instantly scan that image and know this is the AR content I want to load right now. The reason why they're doing this with this little barcode is it makes it a lot faster. So some AR programs will allow you to scan just an image. Okay, so let's just say I had a photo of my business card, right? And I could scan that and my AR content could appear. By using this barcode as well, right, like it makes it even faster because it's so unique. So that's why they have that there. So I'm going to download that as a PNG. Okay, now if I open that up, there it is there. So we have this this unique barcode. Now I'm just going to see if I can open with, and I'll just open it up in Photoshop for now. I'll get that going in the background. All right, so once you have that, okay, you've got that tracker kind of ready to go. What you want to do is you want to figure out what image you're going to use that on, okay? So what that is what is the image that you want people to scan that then will make that AR experience appear, okay? So I use, like I said, I used my business card. And I use that as an image. Now, the images that you choose are still quite important. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to jump across here. I'm going to go to the Bendigo text tool, and I'm going to find a photo that I can use there. The image that you use is still quite important. It needs to be clear. It needs to be easily identifiable, okay? Because the quicker the AR can scan that image and know what content it is linked to, the better. So if it's a really kind of like a blurry image, it's not great. Or if it's an image like a photo of someone's face, there are millions of faces out there. It just means it's going to take, we're talking seconds, but it's going to take, just a little bit longer for that software to line up in the cloud the AR content to that image. So the more unique your image is, the better. So I'm just actually going to do a bit of a cheat here. I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to screen snip just a picture. All right, there we go. And I'm going to save that. Desktop. Okay, so now I have an image that I'm going to work with. Okay, so here is Photoshop over here. Now this is that tracker image that we've got. So what we're going to do is we want to kind of combine this image with the photo that we've chosen. So now I'm just working on two screens at the moment. So I'll just kind of quickly bring that up here. All right, so if you see me looking up, I'm not being rude. I'm just working on a second screen and making sure all of our comments are okay. So again, any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm going to check them every now and then. No, we're all good. All right. So here is a quick little image that I just stole from the Bendigo Tech School website. I'm going to just kind of crop a section of it. Oops. And I'm going to use that. Oh, look at there's mini trapped. Okay, I'll just scale that down. I'll just take it off. And I'll make it onto, just make it, all right. So your image you choose, like I said, is important, okay? Also make sure you choose images that are not infringing any copyright or offensive or those kind of things as well, because they can cause problems, I found. When they're scanning these images, they don't want people to be using copyrighted content or anything like that. So try and create an original image. This is where in the text school, we've used Illustrator and stuff to get them to create their own content. So there's my image there. What I'm going to do now is here's this tracking image, okay, this unique code just to you. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy that. Now I'm using Photoshop to do this, but you can use any paint program that allows you to kind of copy and paste stuff in. I'm going to put it there. I'm just going to scale it down a little bit. Now it doesn't need to be massive. It only really needs to be, that big in relation to your picture. It can be really small. Maybe I'll make it the sun. But you want to put it somewhere, right? Like maybe I'll just plonk it down there. There we go. Okay, so that's the image that I'm going to use as my tracking image. I have my unique code, my Zap code there, which is unique to this experience. I have an image which is reasonably clean and crisp. You can see we've got these nice kind of clean lines here. We've got some, different colors. We've got some shades. It's not a copyrighted image. It's, obviously I work in the text world, I'm allowed to use it. So that's the image I'm going to use. So I'm just going to just save that for the web. That's plenty big. And done. Okay, so I've just saved it on the desktop. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back. This is kind of tricky, actually, working with multiple screens. I'm going to head back to ZapWorks. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually upload that tracking image, okay? Because we haven't done that yet. So we've got our tracking image. We've already downloaded the code, okay? So we've already done that, so we can move across. Yep, we've downloaded that there. We're ready to go. So I'm going to hit continue. All right, so now what we're going to do is upload that new image that we made. So we had our photo, we added our tracking image to it, and now we're going to upload that. And I'm going to put that on here. I'm pretty sure I put it on the desktop. Let me see. I might just look through my screen up here, actually. Cool, there we go. So it's just loaded up now. So now you can see that it's analyzed our image. It said, yep, you've got the Zap code. That's great. It matches up with this program that we're working on. And it's talking about the detail in our image. So you can see it's a pretty good image. Where it's got red here, that's because that was pretty much all the same color. So it's saying that's not ideal, but we've got lots of green, so we're good. So I'm going to use this as the tracking image. So now it's going to process that. Doesn't take too long. All right. And if you hear my fan spinning up, that's just my computer. Just because I'm, again, streaming and running about 10 things at once here. So we should be okay. All right, let me just check. Make sure everyone's okay. Let me check the chat. We're all good. All right. Nice and quiet in the chat. Okay, so now that we have our image here ready to go, now it's time to actually make the content, to make the AR content, okay? So that image is basically the scale that I had uploaded it to. Now, when we start to add AR stuff around here, okay, it's going to be in relation to that image. So imagine that image is printed off. It's sitting on your desk. You're holding it up. When you start to put AR content here, it's going to appear relative to this image here. Okay, so for instance, if I just drop some text in, I'm going to click on text, and I'll just type in YouTube. Okay, so now I have some text here. I can move it around. So if I place it here, when you scan that image, okay, that text is going to appear exactly where I have it there. So you're going to see it just above that part of the image. Okay, if I moved it over here, you'd see it kind of floating a bit to the left. So wherever you place it is important. Okay, in Designer, it's just using an X and Y. It's not using a Z, so there's really no depth here. You can do that in the more advanced version, but for now, we're just going to kind of place this here. So wherever we place this is where it's going to appear, like I said, when you scan that image there as well. Okay, as you scroll down, you can see you can change a lot of stuff. Again, I think the best way to explain this is it's pretty much just like PowerPoint. Okay, so everything that you have in here, you have text, you have images, and you have scenes that you can link to. So if you can use PowerPoint, you can use this. So I can go down, I can change my text, I can change my font. To a degree, it's using web fonts, so you can kind of play around with those. I'll put that about there. Okay, and then here are the other things that you can add. So I'll explain how these work. Okay, again, these are all things your students can use really, really easily, which is great. So text is a pretty simple example. You can plug some text in there, and it will appear. Okay, everything you add into this AR experience also has a few options. You have an action, a transition, and an appearance. So let me explain those. So an action means what happens to this bit of AR content when I interact with it. Okay, so at the moment, if I just had text with no action, the text would just appear on the screen and nothing would happen. If I tap on it, if I move it around, it just is kind of sitting there, right? So if I change my action to say on tap, do something, you can then choose a bunch of different things for this to do, right? It can jump to a scene, which I'll explain a little bit later. You can link it to something. So I might link that to an actual YouTube page, dial a number, compose an email, add to a calendar, actually be able to upload some content. So it allows you to add an action to the element. That's what that action is there. Your transitions is how it appears. So once you scan that photo, okay, how is this little AR element here, how's that going to appear? Is it just going to appear straight away? Or, like PowerPoint, you have some options here. It can fade in, it can fade out, it can slide from the left, it can slide, and you can see an example, it can slide from the right. So how is that content going to actually appear when you scan it? And that's really important. So in this one, I'll just say fade in. Okay, so that's going to slowly fade in. It's not as jarring as just appearing. You can also put in a delay and a length here. So I can say, I don't want that text to actually fade in for 5 seconds. So when you scan that photo, that text is not going to appear for about 5 seconds after you've scanned it. All right, and then it's going to probably be there for a certain amount of time, and then it's going to fade out if I want it to as well. So you have a bit of control over what appears and when. All right, and then finally, appearance, which changes for each element you use, is just changing how that item looks. So with text, you have kind of like text boxes and stuff like that as well. All right, so there are your properties. So text is pretty easy. Image is pretty easy as well. So we can upload an image. So again, an image can appear. So if I hit upload image, I can go straight into upload, and I can upload an image there as well, and that image will appear. Let me just upload an image of an image, right? And that image will kind of appear in front of you on this page. So again, it's kind of amplifying it, and give that a second, and then we should, there we go. So now I have this image kind of appearing where I want it to. Okay, I can scale that in and out. I can do whatever I want to it. I can go down here, change those transitions so it appears a bit later. But I'm going to put that over here in the corner. So now this image is just going to be like appearing and floating, right? Just here, like in my business card example, I had some stuff kind of floating to the side of it. So if this is your business card, you might want to have that sitting over here. Okay, but I'm just going to put that there for now. Video has a few options, okay? So with video, you can add a YouTube video, which is a link, and it will embed itself. So again, that video will appear on top of your photo that you scan, and it will start to play. Upload allows you to upload an actual video to the cloud here. So it's not relying on YouTube. It'll actually download that video, which I guess brings us to another point with AR content, is it does require an internet connection, okay? Because of the way it works, when you scan that photo, it is having to look for your AR experience and then stream all that content to your device, okay? So AR requires internet. You need to have that there for it to work, okay? So again, you've got to think about your users now. And now I'm sure mobile data is a lot faster now and a lot cheaper, right? But if you put in 40 cat videos in here, it just means your experience is going to take longer to load, and people are going to probably just move on, right? When you upload your own video, it does compress it a lot, actually. It still looks great, but it compresses it a lot to kind of make that file size really small. But again, just think about your users. What exactly are they doing here, and how quick can you get them to see your content? So there's your video options. We can upload, we can add a YouTube link. All right, I'll just close that down. Sound, okay, same deal. We can add in a sound if we want to. I've got some stuff here. Here's some sound I used earlier. So I can have some music in there. And obviously it's automatically got a property where it will play when you tap on that. We can do play on start if we want to. So the second you scan your experience, it will automatically play. So there's your sounds. Then we talked about text. Then we have a button. Now a button really is just a text box. But it has a nice little, I guess, rounded box around it. And I'll explain why we've used buttons in a second. I'm going to put a button down here, and I'm just going to call it press me. All right, I'll press my button there. Contact allows you to have a contact widget. So this could be your details, email addresses and the usual stuff like that. And when that's on there, if someone taps that AR experience, it'll automatically put that contact data into your phone once you say okay. So again, you can kind of populate all of this. You could have a business card, and when people scan your business card, all that content is basically on their phone straight away, which is kind of cool. And then obviously a calendar event is similar as well. You can create a calendar event, so when someone scans that, they tap on that, it automatically goes into their phone's calendar. All right, so we're not going to worry about those. Okay, so that's kind of like the basics of the content you can add. So you can see it's pretty simple here in Designer. There's no 3D elements. I can't upload a 3D model in here. I can't animate stuff. I can't spin it around. Everything is flat, and that is how Designer works. That's, I guess, by design, because it's meant to be, it's not super simple, but it's meant to be a way to quickly create AR content. So this is perfect for, like I said, your students 7 to 10, even 7 to 12, right? It all depends on how much time you have. But if you wanted to do 3D models and animation, that was that other version of this program that we talked about earlier. So very basic and very simple. So the other thing that we have here is if I use this as an example. Now, if I hit preview, this is the bit I can't really show you working live, but if I hit preview there, what will happen is this will get ready and make this AR content ready to go. Okay, so now if I scan this, it will actually work, right? I can see straight away from my screen, I can see this working. Now, for this to work, obviously, I should explain the next part of this process. You do need an app. Okay, so again, lots of AR apps out there. By default, most of these AR companies have their own kind of inbuilt app. So Zapper has an app called Zapper. And so if you use their app, if you press that button on the app right now, you can load it up and you can have a look and you can see how this is going to work as an example. Now, in fact, I might be able to show you that because I believe I did do it as a video in another one of these. Let me just see if I can kind of show you this. You might need to go back and watch this later. Oh, here we go. I'll try this. Okay, let's try this and see if I can show you how this will work. I'm going to pause it. So this is a long video. This is another 15-odd minute video that is in our slides. So let me kind of jump to this point so you can kind of see what I'm talking about because in all my wisdom, I recorded it so you could see. All right, let's jump across to... I'm trying to stream and play videos and watch stuff, and I'm guessing my internet is streaming. Let me see if I can find where I have that example. Maybe it was in another one. I might actually, I'll come back to that later. What I'll do is I'll add a link. I think my slides have been changed a little bit. I'll add a link after this that shows you how you can actually make this work and how the kind of the preview side of things works, because yeah, that's changed a little bit. All right, so let me head back here. So what will happen is when you scan that with the app, you will automatically see that content and preview it and make sure it's actually working and you can see it working. Okay, so Zapworks has their own app called Zap AR. You can also, when you choose to do this, you can also use Web AR, which means it doesn't use an app. It's just using the internet and the web and showing it kind of natively in something like Safari. Yeah, Rob. So Z-Axis in Studio, you can do that. So that basically, think of Studio like having like a combination of like Blender and 3D modeling packages and those kind of things. It has a full suite of tools that you can do that in that one as well as face tracking and all those kind of things. So a lot more powerful, but a lot more work. But yeah, so Zapper has its own app to use, and you scan that content and away you go. Okay, so the content kind of unlocks that way. So it's a nice and easy way for this to work. So again, you can brand this stuff. That's the whole point of it. So down the track, you might have we could have a tech school branded AR app, which we can integrate as well. But for now, use Zapworks. If you scan that there, you'll see everything working live. So we'll get out of there. All right, so back to my AR experience. So you can see here, if I start just throwing stuff in this one, viewport or one screen here, it's going to get pretty messy, right? Let's just chuck a couple more buttons in. It's going to start looking like a website from GeoCities in like 1996 or something. So you can start to really mess this up, all right? And so that is what scenes are for, okay? So again, think of a scene like a PowerPoint slide, okay? I'm curious, Paul, how's your meeting going as well, by the way? So think of this like a PowerPoint slide, all right? So each scene is a new slide, and you can transition between those slides. So you can have certain content on certain slides, and you don't have to transition in order, okay? You don't have to go from slide 1 to slide 2 to slide 3, okay? You can jump to whatever slide you want. So I guess another example would be it's almost like HTML. It's almost kind of like a web page, right? You can jump to different content as you go. So let me show you how to do that. So scene 1 is this one here. It's the very first thing that you're going to see when you scan the content, okay? Now, if we go in here, we can change this, obviously. I can change it from scene 1 to, home. Probably a good example, okay? And you can see all the stuff that I have in there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new scene. When I click that, everything goes away, okay? It's all sitting here in home there. But this is like a new scene. It's like a new slide, all right? And now whatever I put here can be different again. So I might actually do something like, I'm going to get some text here, and I'm going to call this, let's have a look. We'll call it Daniel's Online Gallery. I'll type it on this gallery of Robbie pictures. Okay, so what we've got here is I've got a gallery of pictures, Robbie pictures, in here. Now what I might do is I might put a photo album in. Okay, so I might upload a bunch of my pictures of Robbie that I have, and they will be here, okay, as a photo gallery. All right. And so what I can do is with that, they can scroll through them, they can see the images, they can download them. All right. But it's not going to, I guess, mess up this terrible, but my front page. It's not going to kind of mess that up. All right. It's going to be a separate scene. And so what we're going to have here is I'm going to go back to my disgusting page and I'm going to delete a bunch of this stuff. And in this button down here, I'll change that to, Robbie Gallery. Always important. And then if we scroll down, so you can even kind of style this like a web page or like a PowerPoint. So if I scroll down, I'm going to say with that button there, go to my actions. I'm going to go to a scene, and I'm going to say go to scene 2. Okay. Now I didn't name the scene 2, so to make things easier, we could probably do that as well. Let's name that Robbie Gallery. Okay. So now what's going to happen if I go back home is if I tap on that there, it's going to go to that scene. We have it going to Robbie Gallery as a scene. So this appears straight away in front of me on the screen. I tap on that button, and when I say tap on that button, remember you're going to have your device, your AR device, is in front of you, right? So that's the other trick with AR at the moment is you do have to kind of like hold up that device, okay? Like it's in front of you. If it's an iPad, it's quite big and chunky. Your phone's probably the easiest AR device to have. You might be using, I don't know, some kind of headset. Who knows? That's where Google's goggles and we're meant to kind of, revolutionize everything. But you're holding that there. So to tap that button, all right, I should probably have my phone, right? So you're holding, let's see if this is going to work. I'm having the screen here. Cool. So you're holding your phone and then you're tapping, you're looking through, let's see if I can do it this way. So you're looking through here. You're seeing reality through here, okay? You're seeing this reality in front of you. But that AR content is appearing on the screen while I'm still seeing it. So that button that says Robbie Gallery, I'll be tapping it on my screen, okay, and that appears. So again, that's something to think about as well. Like think about that user experience, how they're going to tap and interact with this kind of stuff. So once they, that's right. Once they do that, right, once they tap on those, then that content is going to appear. Okay. So what will happen is I'll still be seeing everything here. I'll still be seeing all that content, but it will fade out, and then that new stuff will appear. So tapping on Robbie Gallery on my screen, that'll fade out, and then the Robbie Gallery will appear in front of me, and I can kind of slide through those. Okay. So what's going to be important then, again, thinking about creating any kind of web page, is when we're here, we need a way to get back. So I had it so by tapping Robbie Gallery, I went here, but on this scene, I had no way for them to get back, to tap back to that home. Okay, so what will happen is they'll have to close the AR experience. They can't go any further. You've locked them in. So we need to then have a button, and again, it can be simply saying home. Now, this is where obviously design comes into play, right? Like this is looking very basic. You can make this look very, very cool, depending on how much time you spend on it, right? The way you're going to make it interact with the environment. So a good example would be that business card, one that I had, people, was I was scanning my business card, but then what I did was I made an animation of what my business card had on it, and I overlaid it perfectly over that card. So when you scan the card, it looks like the card's actually animating and coming to life. I've seen it with like people with t-shirts and stuff too. You scan their t-shirt, and you see it kind of come to life because it's placed directly over their shirt. So what I'm saying is this will look very bad unless you spend some time and make it look good. So now we have a home button. I'm going to go back to my actions. I'm going to go to my scene, and I'm going to say go back to home. So now when I tap on that, it's going to jump back to this one here. Okay. And so now that's how this basically works. You can have as many scenes as you want. Okay. So over here, I could have another scene, some text, right? And this could be my I don't know, my resume. Oops. I could put that over here, right? And then I could have some information appear. I could have some videos if I was a photographer. I could have my photo gallery there. It might even link to my actual web page. I can embed that in. So you can do a lot here, okay? And again, you can make as many scenes as you want as you're going through here. And then it's just a matter of kind of clicking between these scenes. So as an example for how we ran this in the textbook with students, they did a tourism kind of experience, and they were working with tourist place around Bendigo, and they were having these. So an example, I think one student made, her father owns like one of the cafes in Bendigo, okay? And so what she did was she created like an AR experience for that cafe because her dad did advertising in the local paper. Paper's a very static format. So and I think she actually did it too. They actually printed it. So they had her dad's business, and they had a little AR code there. And they said, like, zap this, and you can see our menu. And by doing that, it went to the homepage here, and it talked about the restaurant. It had their menu, okay, and then they would go across to a new scene, and you could see all of their things that were on their menu. If there were links there, they could then order that stuff as well, because it's all web-based. They can order it, and so they could see stuff on the menu, order it, and get it delivered to their house and have it all paid for. Because you can have a link so it goes to things like Uber Eats or whatever account that you've linked up with as well. Then she might have a way to do reviews. There's an upload button, so they could also ask them to take photos and upload it to them. So by having all of these, I guess, a bunch of scenes here, that's taking that real static photo or ad and making it quite interactive on the paper as well. So that's some examples of what students have done. So we'll kind of wrap it up in a minute. So there we go. So that's kind of like basically how this will work. So if you can think of a web page or you can think of PowerPoint, that's how this designer kind of suite here is working in terms of your AR content. And again, we hit preview and away you go. You can start to see that live. Now, I am just going to jump across. I do want to see what happened to my video example. I'm just going to switch to another screen so I don't interrupt you. And I'm just going to try and show you an example of that working in real life. So you can actually see it here. Just give me 1 second. All right, I'm just going to go back out of here. I'm just talking to myself, so I'm sorry. All right, I'll go to Drive. I just want to show you how the preview works using your phone because I did have that set up. All right, I'll go to this one here because it'll probably make more sense with an image and with a video, sorry, than with me trying to talk about it. So let me just scroll down. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to present this and give us a sec. I'm going to play this video and I'm just going to bring it across. All right, so I'm just going to bring this over here now. So this is one that I prepared earlier, and I'm just going to kind of scroll it across so I can find. So I'll put the link to this video as well in this video because this is talking a lot about how AI works. Now I did this without being live, so it was a lot more, succinct. But I just want to jump across to the scanning phase, which is over here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to hit this up here. I'm going to annotate what you're going to see. I'm going to keep it on mute. So let's see if I can load that video while I'm playing. Excellent. All right. So there's me. There's Daniel from the past, looking very young. So what we have here is I'm about to, I guess, preview this. Okay, so preview this working. There's my business card example that we've got going on there as well. So I'm going to just hit play on that. I'll keep that muted so you don't hear it. And then I'm going to grab my phone, use the ZapWorks app, and then scan this preview. So let's just kind of jump ahead. Cool. So you can see, here we go here. I'm going to open up the app. That works. So you can see it's scanning now. There's my computer. All right. It's a dirty old computer when you can see it like that. I'm then going to scan my test image on my computer screen. So scanning from the screen is never ideal because it's not, it's not perfect. So I'm going to lift my phone up. Go, Daniel. Scan that, and now you're going to see on my phone how this kind of works. Okay, so it's unlocking it, which means it's downloading that content. It's showing it to you now, and then now I know we're watching a video within a video. You can see it there. It is there. So you can see that stuff is starting to appear, and as I move my phone around the screen, you can kind of see it floating over the screen. Now, again, this works a lot better once you have something tactile, some paper or a poster or a business card, because you have something in your hand, and if you spun that around in your hand, you would see those things kind of moving around as well. All right, so that's kind of an example of how that preview function works. So cool, I'm glad I found that. All right, so I'll remember right now. I'm going to copy that, and I'll put that in the links to this video once it goes live. All right, let's get that out of the way. I'll stop that. All right, let's head back here. Okay, so that is how that preview will work. So before we end up, let me show you the last few things that we have sorted here as well. So we talked about what you can add. We talked about your scenes. We talked about how hitting preview allows you to see it straight away. Okay. Now, if I hit publish, what that will do is that will publish it. Okay. So in one click, it will now be uploaded and ready to work, ready to scan. And so if someone had your original image that we made, okay, if someone scanned that, so if you emailed it to them, if there was a printout somewhere and anywhere in the world and they scanned that, your content would appear. It's pretty fast. Like it's almost instant. The second you hit publish, it's kind of ready to go. So they're the two options. Now you can publish whenever you like, okay, and you can go back and make changes. So if I hit publish now, it'll be published and everyone can see it, but I can jump back and I can make changes whenever I want because it's all cloud-based. And then the second I republish my changes, all those changes will be live again. So anyone can then check those changes and they'll be up there. So you don't have to worry about having one thing live all the time, right? Like whenever you make changes to it, it will automatically update and make changes. Thanks, Paul. So what we've got though, I'm sorry, I'm just reading the comments. I don't understand though. There's nowhere else they should want to go though. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. This is the problem, right? When you have like comments that are like 20 or 30 seconds behind. I've lost my own train of thought where whatever joke that was. Anyway, so that is your preview and publish. Now, there's a couple of things down here. This one here is kind of interesting, and it's up to you on how you want to enable it. So grab and go means if I have that turned off, which I kind of prefer, what will happen is you'll only see the AR content when your phone is in front of that photo or that picture, right? So if you move your phone away and it loses that tracker, all the AR content disappears. The second you put your phone back in front of it, it appears. I kind of like that. I think it's more of how AR should work. Like you only see the content that's in front of you when the person who designed it wants you to see it. But if I turn that off and have grab and go, it means if I scan the content, I can then go away, I can walk away, and I can still interact with the content. So an example where you'd want to use that, so say with our TruckWise student program we're doing, we want students to kind of like, make billboards, TruckWise billboards. And so the passenger in a car can scan that billboard and then they can interact with some content that they're 20 minutes ago, that they're making. So obviously you couldn't do that by having that grab and go turned off because the car's driving past. By the time they're interacting with the content, it's gone, that billboard's gone. So by having grab and go in that situation, they can see the content, they can have it on their phone, they can interact with it as the car goes. So that's that option there. Then we've obviously got a background sound, so you can kind of play a bit of music in the background as well. And that's it. That's ready to go. Hitting publish, it's there, and you can start playing away with it. So that is, again, AR. What I'll do, like I said, is once this video goes up automatically after YouTube will do it for me, I'll put a link to that larger video I showed you a small amount on. It goes for about 16 minutes, but it goes through this whole process a lot more, like I said, succinctly and in depth, which is good. So I'll put that up so you can have a watch of that, Paul. Actually, I think that'll be the best video for you to watch, Paul, on how to do this, and one you might want to share with your students as well. Let them have a look at that because that'll explain this process really, really easily. So that's it. That's how this bit of AR works. Like I said, this is a limited version of what AR can do. Okay, so we know what AR can do. We can build giant 3D tigers and interact with them and animate them. But that's not this piece of software. This is a nice and simple ZapWorks Designer is nice and simple, online, and very easy to use. Okay, so your students could run and basically pick up this and have something created in about half an hour, I reckon. Whereas if we went to using, I might even be able to show you a video of the main one in practice. If we went to use that one, it'd probably be a bit of work. So I've gone straight out of there, and you can see that it's not published yet. Okay, I can even go into any of my other ones that I've done here as well. If I publish it, you can see when it was published. Okay, I've got an invite. You can see when it was published. All right, you can see when it was updated. You can see how many people have seen it, how many people have zapped that. We've got analytics here as well, so students can see if people have interacted with their content. There's a lot you can do there. So yeah, I might just leave it at that, I think. So super quick overview of how it all works. Like I said, there's those three main platforms. There was the super easy widgets, there was Designer, which we're using here, and then there's Studio, which is a piece of software that you download, which has a lot more potential. We might look at doing Studio maybe later in the year. For us to do it, it obviously takes a bit of time. It's something we probably run over the course of a few days, but I think it'd be something better to do actually at school because it is a piece of software that they can kind of get their heads around and use. There's lots of tutorials as well. Zappa have a whole bunch of tutorials where you can download like a pack, which has a robot and this and that, and then they can kind of interact with it and play with it and see how it goes. So that is a simple overview of how this is all going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'll end the stream here. Did you mention the password protection on the Zap? Might have missed it. Yeah, I probably did not mention it. So yeah, so Rob, that's actually a little bit different. That's probably a different platform. So with Zappa, they're basically publish and go, right? Like when you publish it, you can see it. I don't believe they have any finite kind of password. That was when we were using some other piece of software, Rob, which allowed you to do that through the app. I don't believe Zapworks has that function available unless I've missed it. I'm pretty sure once you hit publish, it's accessible for everybody. So I guess it has its own built-in password protection to a degree because you do need to have thanks, Rob. You do need to have that tracker to be able to scan it. So Robbie's reminding me about the. So I've got your. Let's have a look, Rob. I've got your comment about the survey link, but no survey link came through. So if you want to paste it in, what I'm going to do is there's a survey that we'll take after this. Even if you're watching this video after the fact, I've noticed that we have a few people watching it when it's live because of the time, but then we have like 20 or 30 people watching it later. If you're those 20 or 30 people, I'll also put a link to the survey in. I should do what the YouTubers do. Look at this. I can do this in the link below. That was lame. I will put a link below that has the survey as well that you can fill out for us as well. So that is that. All right. So before I end the stream, Robbie's gonna love this. I'm gonna go and plug. Let's plug what's happening. Let's plug what's happening this week. I'm gonna go into. Oh no, I can't because it's gonna cancel my stream. I won't do that. Let me jump across, and I might just show you. I'm gonna bring up the rest of the week. So for people that are watching this a little bit later, let me go to our homepage and our channel over here. All right, I'm going to bring this down here. Look at this. All right, so we're live now. Everyone's watching this. But what we have coming up over the next week, we have one a day. We've got an intro to design thinking tomorrow. That's for teachers that have never done design thinking before. That'll be a quick kind of overview of what design thinking is. I'll be going through our design thinking slides. And then that is one where you will then take that away after watching our quick overview, and you will be asked to, if you want to kind of go through this, there's some slides that you can fill out so you can kind of go through the process. So I'm going to explain the process and how it works in the tech school in that session, and then let you kind of go through it. Then we have a 3D printing one using Tinkercad, where for the next few weeks anyway, we're going to be focusing on all online software, obviously, so students can do this at home. We're then doing laser cutting, an intro to laser cutting, another design thinking repeat for those that missed it. Laser cutting with Lightburn, that's going to be one of my favorite sessions. That's really for pretty much any teacher that has a laser cutter. You're going to find if you use a laser cutter, the software you get with is terrible. This is a great piece of software which is designed for those kind of laser cutters that most schools will pick up. Like laser cutter at BSE, Paul, you should use this. It's really, really good. And I'm going to explain how that works. They've also given us a bit of a deal with software as well. So after that, if anyone wants some software, I can help you out with that. And then we've got some Illustrator Advanced Techniques. And then it kind of keeps on going. So that's our week. So feel free to have a look. You can set reminders for YouTube, but also every single one of these videos now has our Eventbrite booking. So please book through there. All right, there my plugs sorted, Rob. That'll make you happy. I'm going to jump across here. I've got too many screens now. I'm going to jump across and I'm going to end this. So thank you very much for those that were here. Thank you for those of you that watched it after the fact. And that is it. I will add those links to the description. I'll add that new video to the description. And have a great day. And I will see some of you tomorrow. Okay. Bye now. This is always the interesting part, like the signing off. The last bit. So